course, the body does undergo some change due to the cruelty or subtlety of mind. For example, the nerves of a person with a criminal bent of mind become strong and his or her hair becomes thick and stiff. As a result, neither the body nor the mind is greatly affected by the shocks and blows the criminals will surely endure. The person inclined towards consciousness, however, becomes physically and mentally soft. As such a person's skin and body are relatively thin and soft, the receptivity of the body and mind increases and the comprehension and sensitivity of the mind are considerably enhanced. These phenomena fall within the scope of physiology and psychology. But is the mind's experience or perception of pleasure and pain the same in all circumstances? No. As consciousness develops, its perceptions also change. When the mind is unmanifest in the state of superlative inertness, the sense of pleasure and pain is also non-existent. And when the unmanifest mind is in the state of superlative consciousness, the sense of pleasure or pain is also non-existent. But the entity which in conjunction with the mind undergoes pleasure and pain cannot experience cognition if it has no manifestation of consciousness. So this conscious Atman alone is substantiating the existence of every organism, imbibing the sense of pleasure and pain. Truly speaking, whatever may be the past or future, everything is inspired by the Atman. Everything is taking place within its psychic sphere and will continue to do so for all time to come. From the standpoint of subtle philosophical judgment, this very Atman is the world's Ishana, Shiva or controller. One who is installed in this Ishana loses not only the sense of body, but also the sense of mind, and so the microcosm and its deeds and feelings or doership, its distinctions and differentiations, secret and non-secrets, are lost. Here it is necessary to explain something about body and mind. Like the Charvakists, many people think that the mind is an attribute of the body itself. It is born with the body and it dies with the body. Such people also think that the mind and the soul are the same. Shaturbhyo kalu bhutebhyo shaitanya mupayate hinvadibhya sametabhyo dravebhyo mada shaktivat. That is to say, as the result of the combination of four elements, the fifth element, consciousness, comes into being. Just like wine prepared by a combination of ingredients like leaven, grapes, etc., Charvaka did not recognize Akash Bhuta or either, for it is not visible to the eye. He did not know that Akasha Bhuta could be realized in some other way. Charvaka's observation is absolutely wrong. He should have known that the potential of that created entity was already inherent in those ingredients which combine to form it. The potential of a banyan tree is embedded within the banyan seed, and that potential is expressed with the help of water, earth, air, and light. The chemical combination of inedible sodium and chlorine produces sodium chloride or salt, a necessary edible for human beings, but there is no cogent reason to call it an extra element, for the potential of sodium chloride was inherent in that very poisonous sodium and chlorine, and found expression under favorable conditions. Similarly, what we call consciousness is not something strange that appears from nowhere and is distinct from everything else. It exists in unmanifested form, in every atom of every object. What is manifest is the material force of Prakriti. Under favorable conditions, that unmanifest quiescent Purusha gradually awakens due to the momentum of the centripetal force of the macrocosmic mind by means of various clashes and frictions. The corpse-like Shiva consciousness, lying under the feet of Shakti, material force or energy, is gradually transformed into the wakeful Shiva, and this awakening of Shiva makes the material force more rhythmic. Wherever and to whatever extent its rhythmic bearing takes an orderly shape, giving up its irregularity, there and to that extent the psychic entity has found expression. We must recognize this psychic entity, segregating it from so-called matter. This psychic entity, too, is made of consciousness, like matter, but the material force has less influence upon it than upon matter, for it constantly shines in the reflected radiance of consciousness. The feelings of pleasure and pain are experienced in the psychic body. The sense wave that is congenial to the entitative wave is what we call happiness, and that which is antithetic to it is sorrow. This sense or reflection is a psychic action which finds expression with the help of the brain. Actually, the mind is an entirely independent entity, which is made of subtler stuff than even either. The brain is a crude object, which is essentially the resultant of the combination of a few fundamental elements like hydrogen, carbon, etc. Of these fundamental elements, some are solid, some are liquid, some luminous, some aerial, and some ethereal. Truly speaking, if we call the mind the mechanic, then we would have to call the brain the machine. The mechanic does different jobs with the different parts of the machine. Similarly, the mind too expresses itself in different parts of the brain, through different kinds of sensory functions or thought waves. It is wrong to think that memory is an attribute of the brain. Memory remains in the mind, Chitta, as a potential reaction, samskara, and is expressed only when the imaginative power works through the medium of the cerebral nerve cells. No matter how great the power or potential of the mind may be, it cannot do anything at all without the help of the brain, for the samskaras, reactive momenta, which determine the separative existence of microcosms, cannot find expression without the help of the brain. That is why, although the bodiless Atman witnesses the accumulated samskaras, it is unable to perform any kind of crude or subtle act in the absence of the brain. For the Atman to come as a spirit and accept the after-death offering, like funeral cakes, pinda, or sesame seeds with water, tilodaka, is absolutely illogical and contrary to reason. The primary feeling is received or comprehended in the unit mind through the medium of the nerve cells, and so recently experienced vibrational impressions of feelings necessarily remain in particular nerve cells. There are different kinds of nerve cells in the brain to receive different vibrations, and each of these nerve cells has a particular kind of sensibility and activity. The internal reason why the unit beings have no particular difficulty in remodeling the newly acquired or newly created ideas in the mental stratum is that the vibrations of the nerve cells remain in an almost undisturbed state for some time. Of course, there is an external cause as well. The causes of these newly created or newly acquired ideas remain almost undistorted for a long time, and thus help them to reappear on the canvas of the memory. With the help of time, the impression of the feeling in the nerve cells also become dimmed, and the relative position of those activating causes of events also undergo change, even in the external world. When that happens, the act of reawakening those events on the canvas of memory becomes the function of the mind instead of the brain.